All right, J-Man here with Steve and Sean, and we are back, and we're going to be doing, to continue our Marvel MCU stuff, we're doing phase 3, so this is the best and worst, and these are the movies that are in phase 3 according to Wikipedia, and there's a lot in here. So it's Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home, which seems like they're like, how did we get two Spider-Mans?
Yeah.
This is crazy. Okay. I mean, like, I don't know how we're even going to run this because it's just going to be really weird. Because this is the phase here where I actually don't hate any of the movies, even the ones that we know are the couple of obvious ones that are on the bottom. I don't hate them, so we can talk about them, I suppose. Let's start with, like, what do you think is an underrated movie out of these, Steve?
Actually, we'll let Sean go for this one because the last video he mentioned that there was one that gets dumped on.
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't
let's
know
do
what he
that.
was talking about, so
All
I
right,
want to.
Sean, what is it?
It's Doctor Strange.
Oh, is
I
it?
don't know. Yeah, I see a lot of these videos where people are like, well, I didn't really care much for Doctor Strange, and then they don't elaborate because it's just the it's sort of like the dumping ground or something. Everyone is sort of like, well, it didn't really thrill me. It's just kind of okay. It's just kind of there. It's like, no, listen, Doctor Strange was awesome. There's a lot of charm to it. Um, I guess people are just fatigued on origin stories, but I want to see the origin story of Doctor Strange. It's what makes him, right? Um, although they get rid of that whole like hands not being able to work thing right after that movie, but all the cool stuff with his powers, and I mean, I think they could have done a bit more with the visuals, but what we got was awesome. And I'm sure with the next movie we'll see more of the crazy stuff that was in the old '60s comics, which is pretty famous from those comics. I love the ending. Like,
For
I don't
sure.
know if they like came up with that ending first and then built the rest of the movie around it because it was genius. It's like it's him being clever. There's no real big super fight at the end. It's basically him being clever. It's like if time doesn't exist here, then I will annoy the crap out of Dormammu and basically defeat him that way. That was wicked. The rest of it's cool. Wong is great. It's there's nothing bad about this, and I don't even think there's anything mediocre about it either. So I feel it's underrated definitely, and I think Doctor Strange did okay when it came out. Like, it was a hit, but it wasn't like a gangbusters hit. And then basically the character got, like, well, what wrestlers call the rub with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Like, by the time Endgame came out, everyone loved Doctor Strange because of all of his actions in Infinity War, and he's now a big star. So when the next Doctor Strange comes out, it's gonna do like probably 3 or 4 times. Well, if the theaters are around, it would do 3 or 4 times what the first Doctor Strange did. So yeah, I definitely think Doctor Strange is underrated.
Yeah. So, Steve, what do you think? I mean, yeah, what do you think?
I mean, Doctor Strange. I was shocked when you said that, Sean, because I did not think that was under. I thought everyone loved that movie.
Yeah, I
Um,
love it.
I
Yeah,
think,
well,
like,
we love it. Yeah.
if anything, it's a little. I can understand maybe it's a little bit too highbrow for people. Like, it talks about time a lot, and time is so important. Like, you'll notice when people probably thought it was just a cool effects thing, but like when he hits the when he has the accent, time actually stops, right? Like, he actually freezes. Like, time stops for him because this is where his life changes forever. And I like the Groundhog Day thing because if anyone could, because that's what his life was like after the accident. He kept trying to these new things to, like, save his hands, and it wasn't working. So he knew the torture that you go through when you do something like that. So it made sense to me that he did that. So I thought Doctor Strange was fantastic. Benedict Cumberbatch is a world-class actor. And, like, everything, Mads Mikkelsen is terrific in it. I thought it was super good. So yeah, what I thought you were going to say, Sean, was Guardians 2, because I don't think people like Guardians 2 that much.
I think opinion has turned around recently to the point where I couldn't really say it was underrated anymore. It's underrated, but more and more I see people being like, yeah, it's pretty good. They revisit that, they don't revisit Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I'll be honest with you, that was my pick for underrated, because when I walked out of that movie, I didn't care for it that much, right? I didn't like what they did with Drax. I didn't like what they did with Rocket. I thought it was a very mucky middle where like it's just like Star Wars talking to Kurt Russell all the time. I mean, I get it. If Kurt Russell's my dad, I'd talk to the man all the time too. But like, I just like there was a, especially after the first one, there wasn't a lot going on. But like when I watched it again, I appreciate it a bit more. Yeah, Drax really doesn't do much in it. He sits there and like, I don't get why he's always talking to Mantis if he finds her so disgusting. But anyhow, and like it does like it's Star Wars and Kurt Russell like ego talking a lot. But like I think the brilliance of that film is how they shine a light on secondary actors and characters who didn't get maybe the spotlight in the first one, like Yondu, like Nebula. Like Nebula became super important in Avengers Endgame, and that was because of what they did with Guardians, I think, too. And it's entertaining. It's got a great finale. So I 180'd a bit on Guardians 2. I mean, it's not, I still don't like it as much as part 1, but I don't dislike it anymore. So.
Yeah, I like Guardians 2. If the two underrated ones then would be Doctor Strange and Guardians 2, because those, not because they're underrated, but they're not as hyped up as like everyone says, Infinity War and like Civil War, and like nobody's like, yeah, Doctor Strange. So like, yeah, that was okay, that was good. I like Doctor Strange. So I guess those are the two.
Yeah.
Guardians, I 180 big time. I love it now. Except for Drax, I do find that it gets a bit tedious. It's like, oh, you're so ugly, ha ha. It's like, okay, that's. I was tense at the way Rocket was stealing the batteries. I was like, oh, that's irritating. But I came around on that. I don't know why. I just watched the second time. Like, I like Rocket. I don't know why that happened. I don't have an explanation.
I can tell you why. You know how I figured out? He's a raccoon. Raccoons steal things.
Oh, I know. Sean pointed that out to me when we were walking out of the theater. He was like, well, he's a raccoon. And I was like, well, I don't care.
Well, yeah.
The only raccoons I care about is
I always
Run
loved
With Us.
Guardians 2. Like, Guardians 2 is wicked, man. And there are things that ding it, but like the continuing through gag with Drax, it's like it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Guardians 2 was amazing. When it came out, like to your point, Steve, about it being underrated, when it came out, the common complaint was that it wasn't like Guardians 1. Well, no shit, it's a sequel. And whenever a movie does repeat what the first movie is, people call it on that. So yeah, I thought it was awesome from the get.
Yeah. I still liked it anyways, but it's just those two parts, and one part I don't care much. I'm not pissed off about anymore. And Drax, it's not so bad. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was when I rewatched it.
Yeah.
But whatever. Okay, we're gonna do this a little differently because there's a lot of movies. Let's just do we like it or not, and then we'll discuss if we don't. I think because like, are we gonna say that? Do we all like Endgame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to talk about Endgame. Do we need to talk about Infinity War? We like.
It's a great Thanos movie.
Yeah, it's a Thanos movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Civil War, I know we're kind of weird on, so we're gonna get back to Civil War. We discussed Doctor Strange. We discussed Guardians 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Black Panther, Ant-Man. So Ant-Man the Wasp is on the lower side. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Captain Marvel, lower side.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the two Spider-Mans, let's hit those up. It's not, neither of them are our favorites or our worst. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so do we like those Spider-Man movies? Like Sean and I don't know. This is a weird one for all of us because I don't think that they're bad movies, but the thing is like, it's sort of hashtag not my Spider-Man. And it's like,
Yeah.
that I don't know what to do about it, because
Spider-Man, it's not the world of Spider-Man. So when Sam Raimi made his movies, I know there's complaints like he has the organic web shooters and stuff like that, but the fact is that he was making the Silver Age comics into movies, and that's what I'm familiar with, and that's what they ran with that in the comics through the 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s. So it's like, it's most people's Spider-Man. These new ones, they're good. Well, we'll get into that, but like, they're good movies, and they're well made, and they're Spider-Man for the future, for future generations, and that's great. Make the character, move forward. That's amazing. They're not my Spider-Man, though. There's no Daily Bugle. There's no J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, I know he turns up in a cameo at the end as like a
vlogger,
like a sort of weird right wing like pundit or something like that. Like a internet pundit. I don't know, but it's really kind of, and he has this super suit that talks to him and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just it's cool for like new generations growing up with Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man as I know him. So I mean, they're cool. The second one, my problem with Far From Home is all the stuff with Spider-Man and Mysterio is amazing. That whole storyline's great. The portrayals are great. All the stuff with the kids and the unfunny counselors and everything is terrible. It's not even funny. And like, even the thing with Peter Parker, mistakenly unleashing those nuclear bombs or whatever the hell it was, like the missiles are gonna
the glasses
destroy the school bus. There's no tension, because it's not gonna happen. It's a weird situation to put Peter Parker in. Like, that's not what made the character popular. What made the character popular was that he was relatable. Not that he has mega glasses that controls like Tony Stark's like rotating freaking missile launcher. Like, what in hell are you doing? That whole thing should have been like torpedoed, like or like vetoed in the scripting phase, and come up with something else more charming. I'm not a big fan of Far From Home. I just love all the Mysterio parts. And the first one is cool too. It's not my Spider-Man. It's a cool Spider-Man. I don't begrudge it, but it's not, in terms of favorites, it's not my favorite.
Do you agree, Steve? I agree with what Sean said. Like, there's no, I don't know.
It's definitely not anyone's Spider-Man, because if you will go back to the original run of Spider-Man, when he was in high school when he got the accent, but he was not in high school very long. There weren't many issues where he was in high school. He graduated pretty damn quickly, and he started dating Betty, who was like an older person. No one talks about that. Like, Betty's an older woman, right? So he's immediately in that adult thing. He works for the Bugle. Like, he becomes adult very quickly, right? So these things, focusing on his high school experience, never really delved, at least in the older ones. I don't know about the Ultimates or anything, but like, this was really never delved into in the old comics. We didn't grow up with this. I grew up with Spider-Man as a college, graduate student, and that, right? The thing is that it's a little bit too jokey. He exposes everyone knows his identity, which is awful. Is awful. Like, the Ned Leeds. I don't have a problem with the character of that, but it's just like, it's not Ned Leeds. But Ned Leeds knows it. Like, who doesn't know it by the end? Like, J. Jonah Jameson reveals it to everyone. Like, that's unthinkable, because the entire thing about Spider-Man, the entire tension with the characters, I can't reveal it. So he keeps striking out with all these girls like MJ and all these girls who he's interested in, like Liz Allen and all that, because he can't reveal it. He's too afraid that they'll get hurt. So there's all this tension with just being Spider-Man, and he's very mopey for a lot of the comics. It's all missing. He's a happy-go-lucky kid. He's like, I want to be part of the adventure. Like, that's not Spider-Man that I know. They're good movies. I think they focus a lot on the villain. Like, it seems that the Vulture's like ultra developed and Mysterio's ultra developed. There's a lot of focus on Iron Man, which I don't really know why. So it's one of those things like you do, Jay, where if you were saying, is it a good movie? Yes. Is it a good Spider-Man movie? Not really.
It doesn't even fit the comics. Like Amazing Spider-Man, he had it like there was Parker Industries, and he was a tech guy, and he had like the glowing spider.
Yeah.
I read some of those; they weren't bad, but this still isn't even that.
Yeah.
This is MCU Spider-Man, and he's very unique to his own thing. And I don't like MCU Spider-Man. I have nothing against Tom Holland or any of those. I don't like the tech stuff at all. He's supposed to be low tech, friendly neighborhood. I don't want like a super suit or whatever. Okay. Civil War. I like Civil War a lot. I know the two of you are not like, dying over it, but like Black Panther was sick. Having all those guys fight each other was super cool. Spider-Man coming in, that was neat. I like Civil War. It's a neat movie. Baron Zemo stinks.
What made you think I didn't like it?
Sean really likes it.
Oh, you like it, Sean?
No, I think it's awesome.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Let's talk to Steve for a second about Civil War.
Sorry.
You're really putting it at me in the view I see, but
okay.
Steve, go ahead.
Yeah. No, he's doing it right in the one I'm seeing. Yeah. Civil War's the one that actually makes me the angriest. I'll tell you why. There's a couple of things. One thing we have never talked about is the portrayal of Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. They got it completely wrong. Sorry. He's not Thunderbolt Ross. Like Thunderbolt Ross, if you've read the comics, he wants to get rid of the Hulk and all that, but he's not like a shady bastard. And William Hurt plays him like a shady bastard. Like there's this, I'm now going to be comic book nerd. I think it was like Incredible Hulk 284 or something. Thunderbolt Ross helps MODOK like unleash get the Abomination out of like basically like prison. Like they're holding him in the army thing. And like, because he did that and the Abomination goes wreaks havoc at MODOK's direction, Thunderbolt Ross loses his commission with the army. Right. So he's like disgraced. That's in the comics. In MCU, they elevate the guy to Secretary of State. Like, what? Like, this makes no sense. He's standing there and he's like, oh, this is Sokovia. This is New York. This is Washington. If I was in the room, I'd be like, where are you showing the footage where the Abomination killed a bunch of people because you unleashed them? Like, what? Captain America has proven he cares about the common man. He's the only one of the original Avengers who broke off to save the people at Union Station when the entire thing was happening in New York. If there's a person in the room who can speak to saving the average person, it's that guy, because he actually did it that I saw. And everyone's like, oh, you don't understand and all that. What are you talking about? Like, you guys are completely off the friggin' reservation as far as how you've been characterized up to this point. I get Black Panther's inclusion on the one side. Vision's inclusion makes sense to me. War Machine, you know what? Don Cheadle plays War Machine like a self-righteous prick. There's a couple there where I want to punch him in the face. I'm glad that Falcon injured him, okay, and put him in a friggin' thing. All right? But the other guys I don't get actually why Hawkeye's against them, because he seems like a company man, so I don't get that. But the biggest guy who's out of it is Iron Man. Like, Iron Man does refuse to give up the tech to the government.
Right.
Has not played ball with them since day one. Yet now all of a sudden, because some woman came and said, oh, you killed my son, all of a sudden he's like, you know what? The government's absolutely right. You know what, Captain America? You don't know anything. You're an idiot. What? That's like so backward. I can't even begin to describe it. Spider-Man being included, I don't get either, because Spider-Man's a loner. Like, I know that he's now MCU Spider-Man, but Spider-Man, if Iron Man came up to him and said, hey, I need you to go to Germany or whatever to do this, he'd be like, I'm a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't do that sort of thing. Right? Like, when was it? Number 2 to Fantastic Four asked him to join or something. He's like, how much do you pay? And they're like, we don't pay anything. He's like, oh, I'm not joining them, right? I don't get it. Like, Civil War didn't give me the proper response, because when Captain America and Iron Man are fighting at the end, I wanted Captain America to murder Iron Man. I wanted him dead. and I want Captain America to be the one to do it. That's not the response you should get from the audience.
Yeah,
If
they
you're
did.
doing
They
it
didn't do a
properly.
good job. Yeah, they did not do a good job of. This was not a Star Trek writing. This is not Star Trek writing where all the points of view are very clear and good.
Yeah.
It's like where I watch a Star Trek episode and it's like McCoy and Spock and they're both making their points. You're like,
Yeah.
ooh, I don't know. Spock's the best, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iron Man's team sucks. Like I'm with Captain America all the way. Iron Man is a big baby. Steve, you made a lot of good points today, and Civil War is slowly declining.
Well, I think Civil War, it doesn't make a great point. It doesn't make great points about the morality of what they were doing because
Right.
a lot of the battles were them intervening in something bad happening. And if there was collateral after that, well, I mean, like, what else you want to do, right? I think the only terrible thing that happened in the Marvel movies with the Avengers, at least, is when Hulk rampaged in Africa.
Yeah.
That was bad. But he was being controlled. But then again, they were there, So, yeah, they don't make a great point on that. And the thing is, I think you're supposed to side with Captain America because it is his movie. People forget that. Like it's his part 3, right?
Well, if Captain America's in a movie, it's his movie.
Yeah. Well, but also it's Captain America 3. So
yes,
I don't know. I thought it was cool. I wasn't really tripped up with. I know how you could be tripped up with some of the lazy writing in it. Frankly, it is lazy writing, and like them saying, okay, this is this team, this that team. It's like, well, why is this guy in this team?
Yeah.
I get the whole Spider-Man thing. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people like on the internet, and you just said too, Steve, where they say, oh, Spider-Man always wanted to be a loner. You never but in the early days, isn't Amazing Spider-Man #1 him? Like the cover is the Fantastic Four. He's trying to
he joins with the
join the Fantastic Four. I have one where it's an old one from the 80s, I think, where he asks She-Hulk how much the Avengers pay, and she tells him, and I think they give an actual amount too. It's not something like secret. And I was like, oh crap. And so I guess to show you the stakes, so he tries to join the Avengers. He always tried to join these guys, man. I know he was a reserve member.
Guys, we got 4 more movies.
Okay. So anyway, I like
Civil
it.
War, okay.
Let's move on.
Yeah. We beaten up Civil Wars. Steve beat it up enough. Okay, Black Panther. Let's hit Black Panther because be careful of what you say now.
Black Panther.
Okay. I'll start. I'll put my hand in the fire. I like Black Panther. I like Chadwick Boseman. I think he's awesome. I thought Killmonger was sick. He was wicked. I thought it looked cool, but it is not the best of this phase. It is not like I think it's firmly in the middle of all the Marvel movies. It's definitely, in my opinion, a good movie. I enjoy it. I didn't like the CGI in the end. I wanted it to be a better fight. It was like this weird, it just looked weird. Claw, who to me is one of the most interesting villains. Andy Serkis playing Claw is excellent.
Yeah.
And they wasted that character.
Yeah.
Why are people? That's a sin. That's a MCU sin. That character is very unique. Like him if it would have been him in energy in like a suit and stuff, that would have been awesome. But they had his arm shoot stuff. It's like, Now, if that comes later, okay. So that was a waste. Also, I don't like this idea that Wakanda is super, super high tech, but yet decides its political leaders through combat. Like everybody there knows that Killmonger's a piece of trash. So why would they follow? It's so stupid. They're supposed to be highly advanced civilization, but no, we're going to settle this with who can fight better. Well, that's stupid.
Yeah. They stuck too close to the Marvel comics.
Yeah.
My problem with Black Panther is, #1, listen, I'll say it got really politicized in the States.
Yeah.
It's like it must be a success. Listen, it's a good movie, and I'm glad that it made $1 billion and put Black Panther actually on the map, because
I love Black
didn't even know who that character was, to the point where most people who are Black Panther fans now just think of that movie. They don't even know it's a Marvel comic or who created it. Like I was watching John Campea on YouTube, and they're talking about how I know I mentioned the name, but
Pourquoi?
but they talked about how they should recast the character rather than just kill the character just because, or like whatever, write the character off just because the actor's dead. And he said, well, when Stan Lee died, they didn't discontinue Black Panther. And then someone in the comments was like, what does Stan Lee have to do with this? And the guy was like, Stan Lee created Black Panther. Anyways, listen, I think it's a good movie. My problem is that like they stuck too close to the comics, and Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the 60s were writing what they knew about stereotypes of Africa, and so they put them in there, and then all that makes its way into the movie. They could have done a better job with that. It's weird. And
It's weird.
that they're fighting each other on a waterfall. There's no free election. It's like I thought you're this big advanced nation. But anyway,
Yeah, I agree.
I love Jack Kirby. I love the Jack Kirby Black Panthers. It's very adventurous, guys. Anyone watching, get those on Comixology. It's super exciting, and the art is sick. Black Panther is awesome, and yeah, like you change so many other movies around to make them fit today.
Yeah.
Why not change that? Anyway, Steve?
Yeah, Black Panther's like first time I saw it, I was very lukewarm on it. When I watched it again, I like it a lot. I think it has to do a lot with the performances. Chadwick Boseman knocks it out of the park. You sort of forgive some of the stuff that happens in it. I also was happy that I got it in 4K. I'm glad I could see better because it seemed really dark in the theater, but now I can see it better. But I do agree with everything that's been said. It's not like the best of the phase. It's probably like upper to me, but like if there's a top 10, it's 10, right? That's how I feel about it.
Okay, we got Thor Ragnarok, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. Let's do Captain Marvel. Okay, so Captain Marvel, I'm a big fan. Captain Marvel, I like Brie Larson. Everyone knows that, and then I lose subscribers every time I mention her name because everyone hates the actress, though they're not. You're not friends with her. It's like I'm not someone's friend. I don't care. She was cool in the movie, and her costume looks awesome. But that movie has a lot of problems, and it has about 3 or 4 absolute cringe moments. Naming Avengers after her is god awful. Even I don't like that, who have collected Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel for the longest time. Even I don't like that. And I got Ms. Marvel #1 in this room framed. So that's a fail. Having them like mess up the origin, like with Marvel, like that was just so stupid. Like, and they did it to what? To have like a strong female character? You already have one. Like the movie's about Captain Marvel. That was a fail. Monica Rambeau being a little kid. Oh my God, that is so dumb. That's dumb too. And then they put this movie and they made it like a period thing. Why? Why did you insert this in between?
Yeah.
If you just watch that movie and not think about anything, I don't think it's a bad movie. You watch, you're like, okay, this was cool. She fights guys. And it's like, if you start to think, it's like, well, where is the placement of this? It's like, oh, it's here. It's like, why is that there? Like, and it's like, well, who's that little girl? It's like, oh, she's also Captain Marvel. Oh, well, she's technically supposed to be Captain Marvel before. It's like, oh, that's weird. Like, it's just dumb. Like, if you know nothing, and Steve and I talked to people in that line, remember when we were at Fan Expo, and they were loving Captain Marvel. They're like, that was a really awesome movie. And a lot of people that don't know anything were like, this was really cool. It's fun. And she fights the guys at the end and she powers up and she's super strong. This is so cool. I'm like, yes, it is. Except if you start thinking about it, there's too many fails. Playing the girl power or playing No Doubt. I had that record. I have the No Doubt record. I have that record. And why is that played there? The score to Captain Marvel is absolutely awesome. I have the score. It is so good. Why would you play that I'm Just a Girl during a battle sequence? What a stupid thing. Don't try to enforce girl power. You're already doing a movie about a girl who's the strongest. Like, you don't need more enforcement. So I don't think it's a shit movie, but there's 3 cringe moments, and we got 10 minutes left.
It's mediocre. It's a mediocre movie. Brie Larson, again, her performance is really good. Her and Samuel Jackson's chemistry is really good, but like the action is shot horribly, possibly the worst action shot in a Marvel film. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. Just terrible. I'm like, was this movie shot in a closet? It's just, and you're right. They had this super strong character, and they're like, we don't know what to do with it, so we won't make her super strong until the end,
Right.
and we'll make her try and figure out her powers, but we'll keep saying she's awesome. Like it was very telegraphed. Like the villain is, you know, I forget his name right now.
Whatever the scroll. Oh, the other guy, the Kree is the villain.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Jude Law.
Jude Law.
Yeah.
Jude Law's a villain, very telegraphed. You could figure that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like for a movie that really tried to push forward an agenda and really pump up a character, especially to fight Thanos at the end, they didn't really do a great job of bringing her up, of presenting her.
Wrong choice. Captain Marvel is not the choice character to lead a female. She is not Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's not likable. She's a bit snarky in the comics. Yeah. She's wisecracking. She talks back. You know, she's opinionated and she's a bit irritating. And that's what Brie Larson was doing. But that is not a character that is marketed to little girls to be like, I want to be just like Captain Marvel. Why? You want to be irritating? It's like Wonder Woman is who you market to little girls or little boys too, if you want, whatever. Yeah. Sean?
It's mediocre, and I don't really know what to say more about that. It's if this and Ant-Man and the Wasp feel forced, they feel like we're just making this up as we go along. Like there's nothing really to say with these characters. Like in those movies, I think this is probably the worst of the two. That's just my opinion.
I like Captain Marvel herself, and I like her costume, and I like Nick Fury. So for me, it's not the worst.
No.
But Ant-Man and the Wasp, I rewatched it again. I liked it. The problem with that is that the villains are super jokey and very useless at the end. And Ghost, which looks awesome. Like, Steve, do you have her in Marvel Strike Force? I can't remember.
Yeah.
She's wicked.
She's incredible. Yeah.
She's awesome. She looks cool. I like that actress. I like the way they did her powers, but I felt bad for her, and she's not really a villain. So I'm like, well, what movie am I watching? And then it ends up that, what's his name? The guy from, I keep thinking of the guy from Justified, but he's on
Walt
Goggins. He's a great actor, but he's not a very threatening villain for Ant-Man to fight. So it's just very repetitive. There's a car chase. They make the car go up and down. I'm like, The first one was so creative. The second one, it's not actually a garbage movie, really, but you're just, for me, Ant-Man 1 was so high that this was just like, what happened?
It was very gimmicky. It was very gimmicky with the enlarging and that. And you're right. They should have made Ghost a psychopath. They could have still made her sympathetic, which is what they seem to need to do with every villain. Right. But they could have made her a psychopath and say, listen, between having to become a killer for the government and her condition, she goes off the frigging rails and she just starts killing people because she doesn't know what to do. That would have been easy. That would have made the character a credible villain and someone who you need to fight at the end. And it could have been a great, but they just made her sympathetic and they gave her Lawrence Fishburne because Lawrence Fishburne just gets given in all things. The climax is just basically Michael Douglas looking for his wife, which we knew was going to happen, and he'd find her.
Anyways, yeah. 5 minutes left. Anything to add, Sean, or did we cover it all?
No. That's it for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
All right, so Thor Ragnarok, which is my favorite. Thor Ragnarok, okay, two minds. Number one, best movie of the MCU, easy for me, easy. Because I feel like Flash Gordon, I was transported to this other world. It's a tribute to Jack Kirby. It's very obvious. It's Jack Kirby designs. Jack Kirby's the man, or the king, Stan's the man. I love Thor Ragnarok, super fun, adventurous, awesome. Hulk is great in it. Thor's funny, Loki's cool, all that's great. As a Thor movie, it's kind of stinky because it's like Thor is boring. He's supposed to be boring. He shouldn't be this funny character. Chris Hemsworth was the proper Thor in the other movies. He's a stick in the mud. He's not very fun to hang around with unless you get him drunk. It's like, so him being all kooky and weird, it's like, well, that's not really Thor. And Loki has become this superhero now, and he's supposed to be a stinking piece of shit. So like, I never liked Loki when I read Thor comics. I thought he was a stinking piece of shit. Like I hated him. Like, you know what? Screw you, Loki, you bastard. Like not in a cool way. I thought he was a stinking piece of crap. And why is he so cool in this? It's like, so as a movie, I think it's genius. It's super fun, but they ruined the Valkyrie. That ain't hashtag not my Valkyrie. Why is she all drunk and idiotic? Well, she's not, I guess she's not Brunhilde, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so it's a great movie, but it's not a great Thor movie, really, because like, I don't know. Well, what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I agree. Like, it's so fun. Like, that was one of the first things when I got 4K. I'm like, I gotta get Thor Ragnarok because
for
it's such
sure.
a visual treat. They finally did the Hulk somewhat properly.
Yeah,
He had a personality. He didn't
Yeah.
just roar, which he did for like most of the other movies. You know, I love World War Hulk, so I love that version of the Hulk. You know, like Kate Blanchett killed it as Hela. She was
she's
wonderful.
so good.
I love Carl Urban as the
Yeah.
Executioner. He's
Yeah.
great. Like, there's a lot going for Jeff Goldblum as the
Oh my
Grandmaster.
God. Yeah.
I mean, he's awesome. It's a movie that puts a smile on my face. But if I read the Thor comics, I go back, I'm like, yeah, this isn't the comics.
Sean, you got 3 minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm fine with them revamping his personality for the movies because like listen, I get accuracy, blah blah blah, but like if the character's boring in the comics, you don't make him boring in a movie. He's like, you know, you want people to watch this and like it. So I'm fine with Thor being like that in Ragnarok. Ragnarok is one of the most Marvel like movies. This and Guardians 2 was up there for my best, and Ragnarok edged out Guardians 2 because of some of the small issues of Guardians 2. But if I wanted to be technical, Hulk is great. Hulk is finally the way I remember him from the 80s, like in cartoons and comics, like talking, but still having a childlike, you know, he's like baby arms and all that. I love that. And an Executioner is fantastic. He looks great.
He looks
You know,
great.
Carl Urban is one of the greatest actors like working
Ever.
I
like
know.
period. Like, oh my
So-
gosh, man. And
so
like in
underrated.
The Boys, he's awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
he's great.
Oh, The Boys, man. You got
Yeah.
you got to watch The Boys.
yeah, so I mean, I guess what Ragnarok is the best of this.
For
of
me.
this phase. And the thing is, the other movies are fantastic.
Yeah.
So like, this is like probably the most Marvel like type of movie, and it's really enjoyable, and it has a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
It's cool, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a minute left. Yeah, I mean, I liked Phase 3 on the whole was pretty good because
We blew past the Avengers movie. So like, look, I like Infinity War a lot. Endgame grew on me. And I think Endgame is a great comic one too because they split off into teams and go on side missions, just like annuals.
Yeah.
It's great. All that stuff is cool. It's so great that you forgive it. The timey-wimey stuff and all that. And
among other things.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So yeah,
it's neat. Yeah, there's definitely weird.
and
there's
Thanos
time
dies
travel.
twice. So yeah,
It's time travel, and you get all the characters together doing when they split up into different missions. I was like, this is so cool. Like this is like exactly like what I like. All right, so guys, that is it for the Phase thing. I was thinking maybe next time let's do maybe the live action Batman's best and worst of the live action Batman movies, which includes Adam West.
yeah.
So maybe, or even talking about the Batman actors as well. So maybe something like that. But okay, guys, that is it for this week. We will see you next time.